Hi guys, today we're going to talk about loving your joints and just building strength around the joints, the muscles around the joints to help keep your joints nice and healthy, to give a good range of motion in your joints as well. We're going to just focus a little bit on the hip joints today. That's all. Nothing strenuous or anything like that. Just a little bit of movement to get a bit of extra movement in our joints, so a bit of extra range of motion, and just to build a little bit of strength in the little tiny muscles around the joints so that we can get some joint loving yoga going on. Hope everyone's well, and I'll move over to my mat and we'll have a go. So first of all, we're going to do just a couple of little exercises just to get some movement, range of motion into our hip joints. Now our hip joints look a bit like this. So you've got your thigh bone, which has got a sort of ball on the top of it, and that fits into the socket of your hip joint. So that's what's called a ball and socket joint, and it keeps its range of motion, really helps it to get nice and oiled. So the more range of motion we've got, the sort of stronger and better the joint is. Also, we're wanting to build the muscles around that joint so it keeps it sitting nicely in its socket. So it's all feeling nice and comfortable and loved in its socket, really, basically. So that's what we're going to do today. So we're just going to start with standing up and coming to our mat. And first of all, what we're going to do is stop and breathe for a minute and just feel our feet onto our mat. Maybe take your hand to your heart center and just take 3 nice big deep breaths. You can go in through the nose and out through the nose, or in through the nose and out through the mouth, whatever you feel like doing today. So take a nice big deep breath in. If it feels good for you, maybe close your eyes just so you can bring your awareness back into your body from it being scattered all over the place in your head. So take a nice big deep breath in and settle yourself down, feeling how that out breath grounds you down through your feet down into the earth. Even imagine maybe that you've got like long roots that are weaving their way down, deep down into the soil, into Mother Earth, and grounding you there. Take another nice deep breath in. And a nice really big deep breath in for the last one, and breathing out with a nice big sigh. Okay, so what we're going to come to is now we're going to just do a couple of range of motion movements in our hips. So one of these we can try standing up. So if you have if your balance is not great today, that's absolutely fine. Just hold on to a wall or a chair or something like that. Now if you place your hands, we'll set our posture first. So I'm sorry if I'm rushing through because I'm a bit nervous with the old filming of myself. So I'll slow down a little bit. Dropping your feet into the mat, feeling the 4 points of your feet on the mat, and just gentle bend in the knees. Maybe shifting your weight slightly over to your heels so that you get a nice neutral-ish pelvis. Okay, on your pelvis here you have these little knobbly bits. They're called the ASISs, and what you want in those to do really is like headlights, just pointing forwards. So if you try that out, if you tilt your pelvis, then if you tilt your bum backwards, then the pelvis they point downwards, and if you tilt it forwards, then they point a bit further up. So what you want to do is try and get them into a nice neutralish place, so they're sort of pointing forwards. Then using something to hold on to if your balance isn't brilliant today, what we're going to do is we're just going to shift the weight over onto the left leg, but don't dump down into that left hip, trying to pull up using the muscles around your glutes, butt basically, to keep that hip bone nicely in its socket, so you're pulling up from that leg. So it's sort of like a looping motion to keep it sort of nicely in that, so you're not going like that, you're going like that. Okay, so try that as best you can, and then picking up the right leg and bringing it up so that it's at a 90-degree angle, and then just flexing through the foot so that the foot's nice and active. Then just take the knee out towards the right, which is your external rotation of the hip, and then take the knee into the midline, which is your internal rotation. So just do a couple of those. Now taking your awareness into that hip joint and just having a feel around, seeing how far range of motion you've got, not pushing anything, just being very gentle and mindful, just getting to know how your hip moves in its socket. And then what we can do is we can take the leg backwards so that our knees are lined up together, and then as if you're bringing your knee up, point your knee out towards the right, and as if you're bringing it up over a stile or something like that. See how far you can do, taking very slow circular movements. Doing 3 in one direction. Trying to isolate so that you're actually just moving that hip joint. Everything else is staying nice and solid and stable. You can probably feel that you're actually working your other leg as well. Then go in the opposite direction. Now you can feel here that you're actually, not only are you moving that joint, but you're also working the muscles around that joint to keep it nice and strong and stable and in its right place. Breathing all the time, using your breath to help you slow the movement down. And then coming down with that one, giving it a bit of a wiggle, and then taking a big deep breath in and just closing your eyes and seeing how that feels, that hip feels, compared to the other one after you've given it some range of motion. And breathing in and breathing out. And then shifting over onto your right foot, and again making sure you're keeping you're not dumping into that hip, so you're slooping it up, using the glute muscles to keep that ball joint in its socket nicely, and then picking up your left foot and starting with the making 90-degree angle, having an active foot, and then internal and external rotations in the hip socket. Trying to just breathe at your own pace. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Very easy to just hold your breath when you're concentrating on these things. And then taking it backwards, lining it up with the other knee, and then taking it out to the side and bringing it up and round. You might get a few clunks and clicks. You can, if you work out where those clunks and clicks are, and if you back off a little bit in the movement and just do a smaller circle, you'll probably find that you don't get so many clunks and clicks. And then as you do these exercises more often, you get more range of motion, and so you'll get less clunks and clicks. And doing some in the opposite direction. Breathing all the time, feeling how you're working that standing leg, and then coming back down and giving yourself a bit of a wiggle, wiggling your butt. And then we're just going to do one more exercise. We can do those exercises on all fours. If you don't feel like having trying out your balance today, there's always different options to do those hip circles. And then the next one we're just going to, just quickly before we finish this video, is to show you how you can start to build some strength in all the little muscles around your hip joint. So if you, again, coming into that standing position, shifting your weight over onto the left foot, but all the time making sure you're bringing that hip joint up and in and not dumping into it, and then picking up your right leg. Now what you're going to do is you're going to get hold of your right leg with your hands and pull that knee right in as far as you can go, and hold it there, and then you're going to let it go and see how far you can keep it into the position that you pulled it into. So this position is using the strength that you have in your muscles around the hip, This is using your arm strength to keep your leg up there, basically. So we want to do that a couple more times just to see and work those muscles. So let go, hold, hold, hold. You'll feel that it's quite tough. You're working quite a lot of those muscles around the hip. Breathe in, and one last time, pulling it in, smiling, holding, holding, hold, 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 and release it back down again, and feeling how you've worked those muscles around that hip. Now you can take that a little bit further. I'll do it on the other leg just to balance myself up a bit. Is you can pull it in, take it out to the side. So again, feeling how you're moving that joint in the hip socket, and then pulling it in there. Pulling in, pulling in, pulling in, hold, let go, and hold, 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 hold. Taking a good deep breath, and then pulling it in again, seeing how much it's dropped. Breathing, smiling.